everyone, Linda G
Hi,
here, and
everyone.
I'm here with Andre. Thank you, Andre, for coming on.
Pleasure.
I was just on a show with Colleen, and I thought you and I were starting 5 o'clock Pacific, but I had made a mistake. It was 5:30, and I literally rushed off their set. I gotta go, I gotta go. And then I came here, and it's like you weren't here. I thought, oh, I was running late, and I was going to type you, and then I realized, oops, it's 5:30.
Yeah, you did a. This is a Mercury retrograde. It's the one thing that you notice stuff like this starts to happen where you get the time wrong or some schedule
Yeah.
thing, whatever.
Oh,
And
listen, I
also,
wouldn't be.
the phone
I wouldn't
things were.
be. I'm sorry.
Sorry, sorry. Yeah.
You go ahead.
No, just really quick that it's when people start saying, "Oh, my phone is doing this" or "My email is doing that." This is the one thing that's really annoying about Mercury retrograde. Yeah. So that was all that I wanted
Well,
to say.
I just wouldn't doubt if we have some issues flying to Texas.
Well, I mean, if Mercury is retrograde and things like delays, classic, where you're ready to get on the plane and they tell you, no, there's something wrong with the tarmac, whatever, you're
Yeah,
in your park. Yeah, that can happen for
yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
So, thank you guys for your questions very much. So Robin wants to know, Aileen Cannon, you taking any close looks at her?
Yeah. So people probably know that I did a video on her and then I followed it up because the chart that I thought was out there from a website, that's the only thing I could find last year when I looked. But it looks like that's not the correct time. It's the one that I did in the second video. So instead of being a November date, it's a February date, but it's only the day. There's no birth time, just birth day. And from that, it's what I was telling you before we started talking, is that I'm hoping she's born in the second half of the day, because if she's born in the second half of the day, and she probably is, because what just happened, like yesterday, she got quite a bit of a, you can tell she was annoyed with Jack Smith because he really called her on it. And so there could be more to come, Now, the other thing too is that if she's born in the middle of the day, like I suspect she might be, it also tells me that the November period, she's not happy, which is good. That's what I want. When I see someone like Aileen Cannon, she wants Trump to win. She wants him to somehow get elected, and yet the November period is not a happy period for her. So I think good. I'll put her in the column that
That's
says
good, yeah. Because he's
exactly. Yeah.
assured her when he becomes president, she will become one of the justices.
Oh no, there's no question. I mean, the way the guy plays, um, but the bottom line is, and I think you and I, from when we were talking, it sounds like we agree. I don't sense that this trial will happen before next year. And this is where it drives people nuts, because they'll say things like, why is Trump getting away with it? Well, he's not exactly getting away with it. He's getting away with a lot because he has a lot of helpers, because this is so unusual to see an entire political party following a total imbecile like this, a con man who doesn't know anything. He just knows how to push people's racial buttons and their hatred and so forth. And it's what they have. So if they were wiser, they would have thrown him out long ago, and they wouldn't follow him in this way. On his own, he'd never get this far. But because he gets a lot of help, this is why. But notice that, I mean, he's in court in the middle of the month. And when you look at the astrology, it's really bad. It's funny that people have said, oh, that thing with Alvin Bragg, that's a nothing burger. We'll see when Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels and the Pecker guy, the guy from the magazine.
And Hope Hicks.
Yeah, Hope Hicks. I mean, it's quite a parade of people who are going to be talking lots of salacious stuff. He's going to be working 24/7 to tell you a different story and say, no, that's not what they said. It's all lies. Sure. But in the end, the case is really solid. Really solid. I mean, he's on tape telling Michael Cohen, yeah, let's pay $100,000. It's open and shut. It's very hard to get around that.
That's why he's trying so hard to
Yeah,
stop it.
exactly. And not to mention that I've been saying this for a long, long time, and I noticed that a number of readers seem to be pointing the same way, the risks to his health, because of patterns that are happening simultaneous with this period, with the trial. And maybe it's because he blows a gasket. I don't know. I don't know what the scoop is,
Well,
but I know that it's dangerous.
I
No
got a
question.
psychic flash of
Oh,
some sort of incident taking place during that trial
wow.
where the judge asked the jury to be removed. And
All
somehow
right.
or the other, the judge is telling his attorneys, get him the F out of here. Because
Hmm.
he's going to be him, he's going to be disruptive, he's going to act crazy. And I just feel like they're going to shut him down. Like, and then of course he wants that because then he can say, it's a political thing against me, but it's going to be he's desperate on this. Desperate.
Yeah, well, there's a period there. I put it in my video in the I think it's 18th to the 23rd. The astrology is really, really intense, and the way Mars is involved. When you involve Mars as a trigger point or as an actual transit, he is a rageaholic around Mars. He always gets angry, lashes out. You put him in a court where basically the reason he hates courts is because he knows in a court actual facts will come out. You can't just make up stuff the way he makes up. So he's going to be faced with different people saying, no, this is what happened. And I mean, you can say, if he goes, Michael Cohen is a liar. Yeah, but you're on tape. You're the one talking. It's not Michael Cohen. He's listening and recording you. So how do you get around that? I mean, any jury would go, well, this guy is, he's totally guilty. Of course.
I'm not feeling Stormy Daniels holding a real good precedent or something towards this. I'm feeling Hope Hicks is the clincher. Years ago, I saw her doing something towards Trump that was really going to hurt him. I
Very
don't think she's
possible.
out to hurt him. I just think she tells the truth.
Very possible. Like that's one of the things that I remember seeing way back in 2016, looking at his chart, and I said that in a number of videos long ago, where I kept saying this person's servants, like the people that are helping him, a lot of them are going to turn on him. And I remember that with Michael Cohen being the first one, where he was such a Trumper. I mean, in
Oh,
2016,
yeah, you better
and then
listen up and blah, blah, blah.
exactly. And now he's like a total bitter enemy. I mean, he hates Trump. I mean, it's like he's on a mission to reveal to the world why this guy is the worst thing that could happen to the country. You wouldn't have known that from 2016. I mean, he used to
No.
threaten people, if they
And then
didn't.
he went into Congress and they tried to treat him so badly, but he told the truth.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's there.
No, I love it. So listen, Johnson, I know you don't really know his time and stuff, but did he, he's going to present the Ukraine thing to Congress. I
He
think it's
is.
going to pass.
He is. And do you remember? Do you remember that when you and I first talked about Johnson, you said to me, what do you see about this guy? And you said to me, because I see him being more moderate or down the middle. You had it right, because look what he's doing, right? He when the chips are down, what he does is for instance, he's already passed something with the help of Democrats, and I think he's going to do it again because he's looking at the pattern and he realizes that the Ukraine thing has to happen. So then probably Hakeem Jeffries will say, yeah, if you do that, we'll make sure that they can't throw you out, at
That's
least
what I
until
was
the
feeling.
election. Right, right, exactly. So that you had right at the beginning, your sense was correct that
I
this guy
felt
would
he
be
wouldn't be
pulling.
such a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because he overall, I think he's been more useful to the country and overall than McCarthy was. He's able to do it. So yeah,
But
yeah.
do you see MTG managing to get up enough votes? I think she's going to try,
No,
but it's not going to work.
no, it's not going to work. No, I don't see that at all. No, I see
They've
MTG
already got
being.
some sort of arrangement, and that Matt Gates and her are bow wowing. I'm not feeling good about Lauren Boebert, though. She's got some sort of some issues health wise, and I feel this is really going to make her kind of go out of the picture.
Well, I don't know if that's what it is, but Lauren Boebert, he's another one with just the day, but the day alone, and you can see he's not going to be reelected. That there's
No,
a
she's not.
major, there's way too
MTG
much.
will, she will, but listen, after the January 6th trial that Jack Smith is going to get done, then that's when he hits up people like Matt Gates. Trust me, these people are going.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's totally true. That this is the thing that again, I always implore people: be patient. Look at history back in the day with Watergate, for example. all those people ended up in prison, but it took a long time. You know, you could
Yeah,
have said, well, what's going on here? They just chip away. That's what the brilliance of a in a democracy. You need a system of law giving people lots of latitude. I mean, otherwise, of course, if you're in Nazi Germany, they knock on the door and they take you away. You don't want that. You
no,
want to have lots of room. And realize that Trump has spent his entire life practicing for this. That's all he does is he sues people, he gets sued, he throws money that he gets from somewhere at it. You know, if you think about this, he spent I think $60 million on lawyers. Do you know how much lawyering 60 million will buy you? You can do a lot with that. So that's why things happen the way they happen, right? People that are really wealthy can stall, can delay, can
he's
file
always done
papers.
that.
Yeah, so you have to be patient, but you know, like someone that I watch says, gravity does return. Gravity in the
Oh,
end, you
yeah.
know, it just comes
But
back and
also this thing that they did, trust me, the one for New York with that bond, it's going to flat line. It apparently, Letitia James just said, this guy that they didn't send an appropriate paperwork, which tells you his lawyers aren't worth their money. They should have known that to cross their T's and dot their I's. But the guy can't even do business in New York.
oh, I know, I heard that, and it, you know, it really shows you though Trump's method, you know, how conniving he is. Basically, it's another stall, play. But yeah, you're told. See, this is the thing, though. When you see the planets really moving in on you, a lot of this stuff stops working, right? This thing is moving toward end of June, so between mid-June and mid-July is hellish. It's totally
Really?
hellish. That's when you get yourself into a total jam, and he's asking for it, you know, because he's doing things. This thing with his bond, right? If there's no money, there's no money. You know, that's what it is.
Well,
Or look at
his
his,
people are paying him. He's not using his own money, he's using the people's money.
well, right, but I mean, there still has to be money. You know, you can't just say there's money there when there isn't. And then look at his Truth Social. Already, it's bleeding all over the place. I heard a guy on a business show saying that thing is worth nothing. The guy was asking, well, what should you do? He says, don't buy it. It's crap because this is one of the many things he does where nothing behind it. The company spends $60 million and makes 4 million. How is that business? This is Trump. You know, Trump is a total loser. He
And
never
he's
makes
suing those
anything
people,
work.
but he's doing that to save face. He knows it was worth
Sure,
nothing, but he's trying to say, I'm suing them because they screwed me over. No, they didn't.
sure,
You were
sure.
along in it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Somebody
mean,
said
you know,
penny stock. It was a penny stock.
maybe. I mean, the whole point is that you know in astrology, it turns out the same part of the chart that could get you in some really serious health trouble, including terminal conditions, happens to be the place where loans and insurance and taxes are. There you have it. I mean, what is happening to this guy? Now that we haven't seen the health so much yet, what we have seen though, that is pretty clear, is did you notice that going back about a year, he sounds more and more demented. He'll go, you know, and I even heard a person say, when you see a person that they're losing their mental faculties, it'll tend to happen in the evening. So when he's doing rallies at night because of that sundowning, he should be doing them in the morning. But of course, you can't do rallies in the morning. So it's more likely to happen later. And that's when suddenly he'll say he's running against Obama, or he'll say Nancy Pelosi was running whatever, it was Nikki Haley. He gets all confused.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the beginning of it, you know, of something that could be much worse. But it's the same area of the chart that also pinpoints all your, you know, financial entanglements and all these things that have been coming out. And he's behind the eight ball. You know, he now owes a lot of money and he's going to have to come up with it sooner or later. It's that
You
simple.
know, I had a psychic hit on one of my shows, and I saw because they're talking about China and Russia trying to do what they can to get Trump elected, fake news and stuff like that. And I saw Putin with his head in his hand doing this. And what it was he's like, can somebody tell him to shut up? Because it's almost like they can do anything they want, but it's not going to work because he screws himself over. He keeps
Oh, totally.
yapping, and it's turning people off.
Yeah, yeah, no, and then the big gamble that he's made, and Democrats, you know, the Biden team is onto it quite a bit, is this thing he's making the border, the whole case. So, and he's using words like bloodbath, but I mean, think about it. They were doing this in 2018 and in 2022, like the caravans, and it's always the border. It doesn't work. you've already tried this method. Yeah, you can make a lot of noise, and for a while people will pay attention, but no, that's not even close to the effect of women's issues. Those issues
Yeah.
are deadly.
Oh, that's the sleeping giant. The women's issues, the fact that they want to cut Social Security. They think that's
Right.
gonna, that people will vote for them, maybe the rich people, but not people who are
No.
struggling.
No.
And the gay issues, that they're cutting gays down, and how dare you even mention trans? So, a lot of people have family members that are part of that community,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And
So Lambie had a question, an astrological question. I'm 64 years old and live in a different city than where I was born. Is my birth chart still relevant, or should I be looking at progress chart based on my current location?
well, it's not a progress chart based on your current location. It's called a relocation chart. So the relocation chart gives you some added information, but your natal chart is forever your most relevant chart. So I look at my relocation charts, but they add a little bit more, not on the same way that the natal does, though. So the natal is the first, always the first chart to use.
Okay, thank you. I wouldn't know how to answer that. So listen, Netanyahu, have you taken a look-see at him at all?
Well, Netanyahu, the thing with Netanyahu is that his real Waterloo is post-election, because he's a very late Libra sun. So it's that last entry of Pluto late in the year that really puts an intense pressure on him. And at the moment, he's kind of, you can see that, if you notice this, that he obviously doesn't like Biden telling him that he needs to pull back, but he is kind of following along. Remember, they were gonna attack, and Biden and the Biden administration is saying don't do that, and so he's not doing it. I
Not
suspect
right now,
that,
but they're talking about hitting Iran again.
yeah. Although, see, the thing with the Israel Iran is that Iran hates Israel and Israel hates Iran, and I don't know what to say about that. I mean, they're both trying to kill each other. I mean, I remember back in the day. Remember that Israel bombed a nuclear facility in Iraq because they were worried that Hussein was going to develop a nuclear bomb, so they bombed it. That's the Middle East is like that. It's a total powder keg, and they're in constant
I
conflict.
picked this up. I picked up that Biden mentioned to him that the Israeli people want to have a vote in September. They want a vote in September. He's thinking he can push it away. And I see Biden telling him, you better knock this off, or the United States is going to recommend that there's a vote in September. We're going to give our backing to it. And I think that's what made him, because he really doesn't listen. Bill Clinton said, that guy, you could talk to him till you're blue in the face. He'll nod his head, and then he goes off and does what he wants.
Yeah, and by the way, the explanation is pretty clear. Netanyahu is a right winger. That government thrives on the same thing that Trump wants to do. It's a sort of a fascist approach where, for example, in Israel, they really frown on anybody that questions the government. If you start saying things like, what about the Palestinians? You're going to make people mad, because it's like everyone is together on the idea, no, we're all together on this. So he represents that. He's not interested in any kind of solution long term. The idea is just all for Israel. That's why we're in the jam that we're in. Of course, it was bad what Hamas did, but it's probably even worse, much worse, to then kill 30,000 people
And
as a
starve
response.
children. Yeah.
And not to mention that thing that they did where they blew up the aid cars and all that. How do you make a mistake like that? You put a missile
They
right through the car.
didn't. They were acting like it was a mistake. I
Right.
got word from somebody inside there that said it was actually not a mistake.
Well, that's pretty sad.
They
Pretty
don't
sad.
want these people coming and feeding them. They want them gone. They want these people gone. That's what they said. I can't vouch that it's absolutely true. It could be somebody that wanted me to repeat this, but I will just tell you, when I heard it, I didn't think it was an accident.
No, I mean, the thing is that where this gets really frustrating is that you see people mad at Biden But, pay attention to what is going on. Trump just said, I think yesterday, Israel has to finish the job. In other words, he's saying they should just keep killing everybody, right? That's his position. So then you should say, well, Biden at least is trying. The problem is that Biden also knows that there are many people on the Israeli side and many people, it's 50-50. He's stuck in the middle. If he goes one way, he annoys the other. He's doing the best he can. He's putting pressure on Netanyahu to say, stop doing this. If it were Trump, he'd go, whatever, man, do whatever you need to
like the
do.
Putin. Yeah, go ahead and take,
Exactly. So I wish Biden would bring that up and say, for the people that are so mad at me about this, have you heard the other guy? What his position is? Life is the lesser of two evils. Take what you
that's
can
a
get.
good idea.
Take what you can
Why
get.
hasn't he brought that up? The other guy just
Well,
wants all the Palestinians.
I know.
dead.
I mean, he's not. The problem with is that Biden 10 years ago would have been a lot more astute, be able to communicate better. That's the problem. If it were Gavin Newsom, he'd be destroying Trump because Trump gives you so much to work with. He's constantly doing something to reveal what a fool he is, right? But you got to be out there. Or even, who would be really good at this is Pete Buttigieg. That guy is
I
fantastic
think
communicator.
when Kamala might take over before the 4 years is up for Biden, could be Biden has to step down for health reasons. I think she's going to pick Pete Buttigieg. Bootylicious.
He's good. He's very, 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 very sharp and very. Every time he goes on Fox News and they try to trip him up, he ends up embarrassing the person by basically saying, "No, that's not true. Let me tell you how it is."
And
he
God
explains
love him
really
for
clearly.
going on Fox News.
So, say that again.
God love him for going on.
Oh
Fox.
yeah, right. No, exactly. Yeah, no, but I mean, he's confident in.
He's not afraid. Yeah.
No, it'd be like if when Obama used to do, Obama, you couldn't. He knew his stuff, and if you said something, he would reply.
He would reply. Yeah. In a calm manner too.
In a calm manner.
So, Dakota wants to know what role does Mercury retrograde play with the Trump drama?
It plays a really great role for us in that this Mercury retrograde is particularly bad for him because Mercury, the whole month when he's in court, is roaming around his health or his legal house, creating all kinds of aggravation. But it's not the only one. Mercury, Venus, Mars, they're all clustered in there, annoying the hell out of him. So Mercury retrograde, in a way, is that it's been delayed. Now that happens with Mercury. You'll see it go retrograde, and sometimes people say, "Oh, that's bad because it's retrograde." Often it's like you're catching up to something that should have already started before, so to speak.
Okay.
And this trial was supposed to have started a month ago. Anyway, bottom line, not good for him where Mercury is.
When does it go forward again? Do you know?
It's later, and it's about so it goes retrograde early April. You always look at about 3 weeks. It's a 3-week cycle, so it's
So they
around the
have
20th or 22nd, somewhere in there. I can
Okay.
look it up and tell you.
So, Peaceful wants to know, I would still like to know if people born on a cusp carry the
25.
energies of both signs.
Sorry, really quickly, it's the
People
25th of
born on the
April.
cusp, do they carry the energies of both signs?
No, they don't. The only thing you carry is where the sun is. But what can happen that can confuse people is that the sun, say it's on a cusp, like at the very, very end or very beginning, almost always one of the nearby planets, Venus or Mercury, will be in the other sign. So then that explains the fact that you've got this dual nature, let's say, right? But not because of the sun being, no, if the sun is at 0 degrees and 1 minute, then you are that sign and not the previous sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andre, what do you see for the U.S.-Israel relationship moving forward? Well, you just got done kind of talking about that.
Well, that one, I think a lot of what we're talking about here will resolve itself late in the year and in next year post-election, because it's pretty obvious that if the Republicans were to win, God forbid, that creates a totally different pattern. Democrats winning, this is really bad for people like Netanyahu. It's really bad even for people like Bolsonaro, who, Brazil is better at dealing with fascists than the US. He had to leave the country, right? Because he was breaking the law, so he had to leave. So bottom line is a lot of this gets resolved then. And this is what ties to what you said earlier, that a lot of these lower level players like MTG and Matt Gaetz, it'll catch up to them then, because then systematically the people that broke the law, in fact, you could almost say that Merrick Garland has worked from the bottom up, and Jack Smith is the other way around. He charges the big fish first, and then he goes
Yeah.
toward the little fish. Yeah.
Well, Jack
Exactly.
Smith went in for him on the January, and then he's saving the rest for later. So once we get Trump done, he plans on going back and hitting Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, all of them. Gomer
Yeah,
Pyle, all of them.
By the way, Jack Smith, a chart without a time, but just from the day, it explains why right now he's hemmed in. He's a little stuck with the documents case, because of Eileen Cannon. He also is having problems with the other case because of the Supreme Court. But his time is in the summer when the situation is as bad as it'll get for Trump. He's got really strong astrology, really, winning astrology. So that also I find very encouraging, because that's how it works. I mean, when Saturn is on you through a square or an opposition or even a conjunction, which is what he's got now, it's harder. You just get blocked. And in
Based
fact,
on
even
his chart, guessing, this is total guess. When do you think the Supreme Court, because I don't see them saying he has immunity. I see him saying he doesn't have immunity. When do
right,
you
but
think that will happen in the
well,
summer?
that's the thing is, what's your feeling? Because here's the two ways that it can go. If they were honest, and I'm now suspecting they're not, then they would immediately say, like in April, it's supposed to be April 22nd. They would just say, this is a nothing burger, let the case move forward. But what people are worried about, and I don't know if you're picking this up, is that they would delay saying that until June, which is the end of their term, and that would make it very hard for Judge Chutkan to schedule the trial before the election, right? That's my. Do you get a sense that they come out right away, or do you get a sense that they
I
try to
think they
stall?
might try to delay it. Well, even
Yeah.
that birth pill thing, that birth control pill, they're delaying that, and it's a slam dunk. They're not gonna say, yeah, no, you can't do that pill. I see them saying, because they have no proof that it hurt anybody.
Well, I mean, to be honest, and this could even happen because Trump's astrology is so bad. Well, first of all, we're still dealing with this thing. Does he even get there? Because we got to see. This is why I got to see what happens this month to gauge, is this guy even going to be running later on, right? But the reality is that if I'm Chutkin, I would say, well, you delayed. We're going to have the trial in October. I mean, tough luck for you. I mean, the astrology is bad enough for that to be the
Right,
case.
there's
So,
nothing in the Constitution says they can't have a
no,
trial in October.
no, exactly, yeah. So, I mean, let him scream that it's election interference. Let him say whatever he wants to say.
Well, you the one that had the Supreme Court come forward. Yeah, I do feel it'll hurt him.
Which?
I feel that this thing is gonna hurt Trump.
Oh, the one that we're in now. Oh,
What the
yeah. No,
Supreme Court's coming back with.
well,
As
yeah.
much as they'd like to say, no, he has total immunity, they can't.
No,
They
no, they're not
can't.
gonna. There's no worry on if they establish total immunity for criminality, then every president can just do whatever they want. But it's more that they're finessing it, much like Eileen Cannon is just delaying. If they don't give their reason until June, I believe that Chutkin said something like there are 120 days, I think, past that. I mean, it makes it hard for
Yeah.
for the Jack Smith trial to go forward, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, look, there is a possibility. We have to be, I think, clear-eyed about this. There's a possibility that the worst case scenario here would be that Trump somehow stays on his feet and continues, and the only trial that goes to court is this one. That's possible. I have to admit that it's possible. But does that mean he'll win? No, it doesn't. No.
no,
Doesn't matter. And by the way, that could even be better, because if he runs and loses, there's no better outcome than that. Best outcome is for voters to turn this guy down.
yeah, they will,
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
Constance wants to know any validity to the advice not to be outside during an eclipse if it's impacting your natal chart in a major way. Example, conjunction to rising sign degrees, nodal degrees, or personal planets.
I doubt that. I think with the only advice I give about eclipse is be really conscious the day before the eclipse, especially, or a couple of days, but especially the day before, and be kind to your body, eat well. The thing with an eclipse is if you go into it with low energy, you will not enjoy it. It's because the energy then can really turn dark on you, but that doesn't matter whether you're outside or inside. And then there are some people that are affected way more than others. So the people that are in that range of April, you know, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and there are people in January, people in October, same days, because that the eclipse is affecting them more. But if the eclipse is affecting you more, you could actually gain more. You could discover something new, understand something about yourself that's powerful because of the pressure of the eclipse. However, if you walk in there with low energy, yeah, you won't enjoy it. It'll be more, but not because you're outside. I mean, well, okay, hold on. Don't do what Trump does, though. Don't look at it. Okay, like
Yeah.
put on your glasses.
So that earthquake that happened in New Jersey, could that be related to the eclipse at all? Does that have some sort of a vibrational energy?
You know, I don't. I never with earthquakes. The only earthquake thing I've ever seen. It wasn't even an earthquake. Well, I guess it sort of was. Remember that building that fell in Florida?
Yes, I
And
remember that.
it just collapsed. It wasn't really an earthquake. It
It
was
was
the
some
building was
flooding by where the pool was.
right. So I remember that I found that chart for that particular city. I was able to find a really strong correlation to what happened, but
Right.
never seem to find charts that tell me, oh, this just happened in Turkey.
Or
It's
this
not
is
my
an earthquake.
specialty,
Yeah.
so I'll leave that to you. And please don't tell me that I'm going to have an earthquake here.
No, no, but I will tell you, I did pick up while I was watching all the, because I've been telling people when my ears ring, we're gonna have one. We had the good sized one in Taiwan, then the one in New Jersey, which is significant. But oh my God, everybody, I got thousands of emails. Oh my God, Linda, you were right. But I don't see any more problems over that area. That another good size earthquake, not huge, like 5 point, I felt was in the Texas, Oklahoma region.
Interesting.
And
Well,
then
that, but
I see California midstream. I see back up in Alaska again too. But I don't see Washington, maybe Oregon. But as far as significant, as far as over 6 point, I do see probably, Riverside County, that kind of area. But the thing about California is everybody, we don't have those old brick buildings and stuff. New Jersey was quite shocked because they're not built for earthquakes, Their
yeah,
last
that's
big
right.
one was in the 1800s.
Yeah, if there's a lot of brick, it's not a good thing. They'll fall down. So
Right.
yeah,
So
definitely.
Sol says the solar eclipse is conjunct my natal Jupiter by 18 degrees Aries in the 7th. And this is creating a sextile to my natal Saturn at 18 degrees Aquarius in the 5th. What is your interpretation?
And that eclipse is good for you. That eclipse will,
Oh, yay!
if you've got an eclipse going over your Jupiter and making a sextile, the odds increase. Now, of course, maybe you're not telling me something else in the chart that it connects in some other way, but on that alone, that's nice because that energy aligns well with your chart. So then the odds increase that even if you do nothing, you show up in a better state and so forth. So it's good. Yeah. Whereas if you
How
said,
do you fare? How's your chart?
mine is pretty good too because even though Aries for me as a sign is a little tricky, those degrees line up well with these other planets, much like this guy is saying. That for me, there's a sextile trine as well, so odds are pretty good that I'll navigate through there. And I've had eclipses that were pretty hard, but I would always notice though that it had something to do with what I was doing. A little slapstick the day before, some mistake I
Okay,
made in the way I ate, and then my energy was, not so
all
good.
messed
And
up.
yeah, so that's why I always say to people, be careful leading up to it because the
Okay.
energy intensifies.
How about your friend Linda? Does she look okay?
Uh,
I
yeah,
don't
you're
recall
okay.
any Aries in my chart.
No, but the thing that you've got that's good is you've got Leo planets that work well with the eclipse. But even so, be a little careful in that the Virgo sun, for you, it really applies. Watch what you eat. the day before.
Oh,
Be
gee.
careful, right? Don't go on a sugar binge and then complain that the next day you're feeling nuts.
What? No sugar bins? Okay, you probably can't tell about mortgage rates dropping. That's not really your forte.
About which?
Mortgage rates dropping. I see
Mortgage.
mortgage rates dropping next year, but you probably can't see that in a chart,
No,
right?
no, I would agree with that. That's just it. See, a lot of that fits into the pattern post-election, both because of the election and where the planets are going. Yes, so I agree with you that next year dropping, because the thing is, he can't yet. They worry about the fact that there's still some inflation in there, and they always try to get it to a super low point. They're worried that if they get it going again, you start getting a lot of money moving around, then you get more inflation, which is
Yeah, that's true.
bad, especially in an election year. You never want to do that. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Um, Lynn says, oh no, Jean, sorry. Jean says, have you looked at RFK Junior's chart lately?
You know, I briefly looked at it. I find that guy so unsavory. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, he's,
The,
and oh, he's totally anti-vaccine, but in the meantime, he did heroin. How long?
yeah,
Don't introduce the vaccine to your body, but heroin's good.
I know. I don't know what you pick up with him. I always had this sense with him that he would be doing reasonably well until about the middle of the year, and then
Like he
not people
drops
think,
off.
yeah, that it's just not that impactful. Whereas the contrast to that is Kamala. You should see with Kamala really picking up as we get into June, July, August, being a big major force in the dialogue and in the a real asset to the Democratic cause. Because think about this. All of this, is really nothing other than it's the power of women fighting off these overly toxic masculine men who are doing these crazy things, and in so doing they're mobilizing women to
Oh,
vote more.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's really what's going on. That's and this is described. It's the in the sky. It's the Eris Pluto battle, which already gave the victory to Biden in 2020. In 2020, that's why the reason we got Biden was because of women. Men voted for Trump. I don't know if people knew this. If you take
Yeah.
away women's votes, we'd have had Trump. The same thing is still happening. Eris is right now it's in the same place. Pluto's still not quite as tight, but the square is still there. So the same theme, same issue. They're the ones that are
Oh, listen,
saving
when
us.
the Supreme Court said Roe versus Wade, blah, 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 and I called it, I said that they just awoke the sleeping giant. As much as we were pissed off about that, that's why all these special elections, it's the Democrats that are winning.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
women are coming out and even men, listen, don't, there's a
Oh,
lot
of
of
course.
men out there that don't want their daughter to carry the baby of a rapist.
Oh no, that's totally true. I mean, whenever we say men or women, obviously it's not all women. There's MTG, there's Lauren Boebert. I'm aware. There's
Yeah.
Elise Stefanik. There are plenty of women that are on the other side of this. It's just in bulk, just like there are a lot of men helping women, of course. But
Oh,
men,
yeah.
if you said no women are allowed to vote, we're screwed. That's it. I mean,
Well,
honestly, that's
that
the
guy
truth.
that's running for governor, what's his name? That big guy? And he said, what, back the days that women couldn't vote was better. It was like, and he thinks he's gonna win as governor with that rhetoric?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, this is the thing that the amazing part of this whole thing is that they're telling you, to your face. They're just saying, this is what we believe. That.
Yeah.
So at least right? It's much better to hear it on NPR, hear it on wherever, to realize, oh yeah, they're thinking this way. Believe them, because it's true.
Hey,
They're
listen,
not lying.
Lauren Boebert is really going down. Poor thing. I really do feel bad for her because she's got some sort of disease and they just removed a clot. And she was terribly drunk at a Trump affair and they had to sit her down and get her out of the way. And, she's going, my friend. I don't mean by dying. I just feel like she's done.
Bober, yeah. Well, one of the things, when you see someone in the astrology lexicon, if you see a person with pretty obvious discipline problems, the planet they least want to see is Saturn. It's just all over her. So
I
then
know.
things just really start to go down because you've been tempting it, by doing, I mean, all kinds of things. This woman she's wackadoodle. She just
She
does.
didn't have a good childhood.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's true, but the thing is that at what point do you say, well, good childhood or not? I mean, by the way, I was
You
reading
don't
your
go
book.
out of your way to hurt people.
I was reading your book, and you didn't have a good childhood either. So what's her excuse? I'm sorry, I mean, at some point, you have to be practical and
No, but
say,
I was quite cray like her when I was young. I
well,
didn't have a position of authority, but I would overdrink and make an ass out of myself.
I still think though that even then, at your worst, you wouldn't be doing what she's doing.
No,
I'm sorry, but I don't believe
no.
it.
No, I was a professional pole dancer and,
Yeah. That's funny. I mean, I was checking. You're the product of a really spiritual, spirit connected mother and an atheist father. So it's pretty interesting, right? To have
but my mom was atheist too. It's weird. She was raised Catholic, but she was mad at the church that her mother died when she was young. She never got over it. And then she had to be taken to a native, well, they call it, at those days it was Indian orphanage run by white nuns. And she hated the church. And
Yeah.
even on her deathbed, she died in my home. And I said, Mom, because she used to be a staunch Catholic, would you like last rites? And she said no.
No. No. Well, but then the thing is, her instinct though was to tune into spirit on some level. So even if she wasn't, because a lot of people see through the Catholic thing. I mean, it's obviously right, but that was her instinct. Whereas it sounds like in that way they were a bit opposites, and that gives you that inheritance, so to speak.
Right. And apparently my grandmother, who God bless her sweetheart, died when she was 38 or 39, pregnant with her seventh child. She died of eclampsia. And they left her in a white nun-run native hospital. And my mom remembers her hands. She died with rigor mortis setting in. The baby was still inside of her. And so my mom never got over that. But apparently my cousin told me her mother, who was the sister of my grandfather, my grandmother used to go and sit and visit with the sister and psychically tell her what was going to happen. And none of the sisters knew. I asked all the sisters, her name was Tena Farala. And I said, did you guys know your mother was psychic? They said no, but she was Catholic. She was a staunch Catholic. So probably that was a no-no.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's a total no-no. I mean, Catholic. The thing is, it's a very strict, pretty rigid. At least it used to be, but especially in those years, it's become a little less so.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up that way, and same thing. Very
Yeah.
like catechism. Everything is gloom and doom. Strong rules about what you can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah. So if you said I'm psychic, they would say take him away, flog him 30 times, whatever. Nothing good. No, you laugh, but
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
and
kidding.
my dad was an atheist, but he wasn't somebody who was bah humbug either. It's really weird. As weird as he could be and as mean as he could be, he just let us believe whatever we needed to believe. He didn't say there's no such thing, except when my grandmother died. His eyes were beet red. He came back from, I guess, seeing her body and identifying her. And he says, your grandmother's dead. That's all there is to it. I don't want to see any whining around here.
Wow.
In other words, you can't mourn your own deceased grandmother. So, but he was always trying to cover up. And then apparently on his deathbed, he asked for one of the pastors in the VA and asked this pastor, which she told me later. So really, what is this with life after death?
Interesting.
But they always thought I was a whack job. I was the black sheep. Because I always believe I saw Jesus when I was 8. And even my mother was the one who told me that was Jesus, but.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
enough about me. What do you think of me?
What do I think of you? Oh, I think you're great. I'll be nice to you just this time.
God, the time is flying, but I just want to get another, Portland girl. She said, well, Trump's failed bond exposed a larger money laundering that he's been involved with
Yes.
for years. I'm
Of
not
course.
seeing money laundering, but I almost feel like smacking him on the hand and the attorneys too. How dare you bring this fake money thing to us?
Now the money, I mean, I don't know exactly if it's like, as you put it, one particular, you know, pattern or another, but the whole subject is really problematic for him right now. It's, you know, see, this is the thing. Uh, Cycles tend to repeat. Trump's Saturn cycle now is the same as the mid 90s. He was completely broke then. He was totally between 95 and 2000. He was nowhere to be seen. He at one point apparently he said to Ivanka, "That homeless person has more money than me," because he was so broke, right? And then later, what happened is he got the apprentice thing and he made his way back. But back then, it was as bad as it could get. This is the next iteration of that, and he's in similar trouble because this guy he never learns. He just keeps making the same
didn't
mistakes over
learn.
and over. So, you know, that's what you're going to get. I don't know whether it's because of the bond or because of the Truth Social or because of all of it collapsing on him, but it's not a good thing. Not a good thing.
No,
So,
and the only reason he sued Truth Social was to make himself look, because he knew it was fraud. He
oh
knew it
yeah.
was a bunch of, it was penny stock. So he's doing that to make a big deal to act like, oh, these guys are ripping me off. No, they're not. You knew the whole thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and it's this is the thing that whatever you think is bad about our current era, there's a lot of news, a lot of information. This is known. There are people that are on top of it telling you this thing doesn't make any money. Look, it's got $4 million in profit, $60 million in losses. Where's the business? So if you're investing in that, maybe you're putting money in there hoping that he wins the election and then he'll do something for you. That's about the only reason, because you're throwing away money. But this means you're sitting on a powder keg. That thing at some point will go to zero. It'll be worthless.
Right,
You know?
right,
Because it doesn't have any business to, provide gain for the shareholders.
right.
So it's pretty
So
remarkable.
this last question, I think this is an excellent question. And next week I'll be on your show, right?
Sure. Yeah, I look forward to that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think this is a good question. This is from Jorm, are there any beneficial cosmic alignments to look forward to that will be helpful in clearing up and reordering a better society and civilization after the Trump, Putin, Netanyahu era?
Yes, I would say the period we're moving into, even though if you expect it to be super smooth, think again, because we have patterns that are similar to the Civil War or the Second World War. There are periods when society is realigning in a big way, so we have to sort through that. But overall, yes, it's moving in the right direction. For example, I know there's a lot of fear around AI and technology. I think technology is going to help people even more. But there are risks, yes. There's
Yeah,
always,
gonna be risks.
for every gain, there's always someone trying to rip off the system and so forth. But realize that in prior big cycle changes, society grew and things got better. So before you start saying it's all going to fall apart and we're all going to be taken prisoner, no, that's not true. I think as we go into the middle of the decade and toward the second half of the decade, things will improve. They'll get better, Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when, what's his name, loses, if he actually goes up and he loses, there's gonna be some drama. But I don't feel it to be Armageddon drama. I just feel little clusters of this and that.
Yeah, and probably for quite a while, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe a couple of years, this whole crew of people, MAGA followers, because they're just determined. I mean, I see things on that X or some other like YouTube where I can't believe what I'm seeing. I saw this woman who is an elected representative talking in their state, whatever it is, it's the equivalent of Congress, and she was saying, "Well, I want to know what the Nazis did wrong. Why are people so upset with the Nazis? Did the Nazis do anything to impinge on people's rights?" And I'm thinking, lady, like honestly,
Yeah,
read
they
your
really
history.
believe that.
They're throwing these ideas out there. It's so totally thoughtless, and
Right.
when just look it up. It's part of the
Look at
historical
how
record.
Germany acts now, especially in terms of that war. They talk about it. They make their children's children learn about it, and they made the Germans come out of their comfortable homes and drag those dead bodies.
Yes,
and made them work with the dead body so they couldn't say this never happened.
correct. And they're on top of it much more than we are here. I don't know if you saw that thing where they were going to put that 44 on the some sports shirts, and there was this outcry because the 44 looked too much like the SS symbol, so they had to change it. They were very quick to say, "Yeah, we don't want any trouble."
You
just
can
do
get
it.
arrested for putting the hand up.
Yeah, and you should be. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the excuse? You know, look what was happening. I mean, how can you? Trump has actually said, "Oh, Hitler did some good things." Which ones? Why don't
Yeah.
you tell us all? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and you saw what happened to Hitler. You saw what happened to every
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
person. And you saw what happened in those wars, and they lost all the bad guys, lost all of them.
I know. This is the
But
thing
you
that
want
this
to
is where
carry
you.
around that Confederate flag.
I know, and it's where you see that the man in the end is heedless. He's totally heedless, right? Because he focuses on, oh, Hitler, look at all those people, crowds, they were cheering. Yeah, I know, but where did it end? Things are where they end, not where they are. Where are they going? Doesn't go to a good place, right?
No.
So, I mean, you want Hitler's journey? I don't want that journey. Sorry, or Mussolini, another one. Mussolini,
Oh,
you know, great, you know,
that's why
all
Hitler
powerful.
wanted to be burned, because he didn't want to end up like Mussolini.
Yeah,
He
no,
didn't
exactly,
want
but
to take his corpse and hang him and stuff. Yeah.
I know it's just not. Those trips are extremely dangerous. When you do the fascist thing and you really get behind it, you risk a lot of trouble. Saddam Hussein, another one, right? Where do you end up? You end up in the gallows. So think it through very carefully. You
Think
know,
it
and
very carefully. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
The main
exactly.
thing is there's really good people out there, and we just got to put that energy of and clear it and know that this too shall pass.
I know, and let's
All
all
right.
get behind Sleepy Joe because Sleepy Joe is going to do it again. It's the you
Heck
know,
yeah.
yeah, he's
God
going to do
bless
it
him.
again.
All
I
right,
know.
you guys. We'll catch you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.